Hello, everybody. I'm Lori Hines with Just Among Friends. Welcome to another episode where we interview guests in relations between Jews and Christians. And I'm excited today to welcome our guests. I can't wait for you guys to hear about Nati and who he is and what he's doing and why he's here in the States with us right now. So let me start. Bear with me. I'm going to do a screen share. I want to give a shout out to, as always, here we go. All right. So as always, I want to say thank you to our sponsor, Just Among Friends, and that is Ann Stacy with Texans for a Safe Israel.org, Mike Isley, TexinsForIsrael.com, and myself, Lori Hines, with a Taste of Israel.com. All of us have our own individual interests in supporting Israel and the Jewish people. Together, we've come to join forces with Just Among Friends, a new initiative to enlarge our circle of friends based on our shared values. So today's speaker, as I said, is Mr. Nati Rom. Nati is an attorney and an Israeli activist for Judea and Samaria. Please take a screenshot of this. His website is heartlandofisrael.com. And here is another piece of information you're going to want, because after you hear this, you're going to want to support him in the work he's doing. Heartland of Israel, and the website is israelheartlandfriends.org/donate. He wants you to have his phone number. Please reach out to him. He's on WhatsApp. His number is +972 52-566-5660. So let's go back and let's talk to Nati. Welcome.
Shalom.
Shalom. I was good to see you. You're welcome. Thank you for being with us. Let me introduce you to our audience. I'm going to read your bio because there's so much that you have already accomplished in your young life, and you have so much more to do. So let me introduce to you all, our audience, Nati's background. So, all right. Nati Rom is an attorney, Israeli activist for Judea and Samaria. He's a native-born Israeli, born in Jerusalem, who felt a deep call to the defense and redemption of Israel's heartland early in life. Upon completing his active duty service in the IDF, Nati and a few friends put a stake in the ground on a beautiful Samaritan hilltop near Shiloh, pioneering the very first of many hilltop villages. From that time, Nati has never looked back. He's like a modern day Maccabee. He forges through countless obstacles you cannot imagine, what I've already heard, as he works to defend Jewish pioneers who are fulfilling ancient prophecies in their God-given land. As an attorney, Nati has defended hundreds of pioneers in court who have been arrested for exercising their rights on the Temple Mount, and as well as building Jewish homes and communities in Judea and Samaria. He also represents people who are negatively impacted by the BDS, which is the Boycott, Divestment, Sanctions movement, and other anti-Semitic efforts. He fervently pursues justice on many fronts and does not shy away from legal battles, regardless of how arduous and daunting they appear and are. Nati and his wife, Yonat, and their 6 children live in Esh Kodesh near Shiloh, the very first capital of ancient Israel. They are deeply honored and grateful to Hashem for their family and the special mission he has given them as they witness prophecy being fulfilled. Together, they work tirelessly to transform calls for BDS into buy, defend, and support Israel as they take an active role in redeeming the biblical heartland of Israel. Amazing.
Interesting to hear your bio.
You're a busy man too, I tell you. So I was privileged to hear a presentation from you recently, actually last night, and giving us an update on what's going on in Israel. Here it is, June 2021, and you're here in the States after a rough patch for Israel a few weeks ago. So I thought it would be a great opportunity for you to give our audience who wasn't able to hear you last night just a quick update on what's going on in Judea and Samaria and Israel and how that matters and why it matters to not only Jewish people, but to Christians.
So in the last 10 years, even 20 years, I'm working very hard to establish the heartland of Israel, what in the media is called Judea and Samaria, the West Bank. But this is the biblical name. We need to go back to our roots, to Judea and Samaria. And this is also what we have in common. We have the Bible and many common values together. And it's all about not only to be Zionist, but to be a biblical Zionist, to be a religious Zionist, and to go back to our roots, because our connection to Israel is not only a random connection to citizens and to his nationality and to his land, but this is a divine land given by God to a divine people with a purpose to bring redemption. So when you look at that with these glasses, everything is more clear and your goals are clear. So what we are trying to do is to establish our covenant, to reconnect to our land, to our God, to reconnect to our covenant that Joshua bin Nun did in the altar of Joshua in Mount Ebal in Shechem, what's today called Nablus, and to go back and to say, this is ours, this is the history land of Israel, this is the proof of the stories of the Bible. If you believe in the stories of the Bible, not only as fairy tales to your children, but to real stories. So you need to follow those paths.
That's so interesting. In case you guys are not aware, you may, because we've done a few presentations on Judea and Samaria and why that part of Israel is significant to the greater land of Israel. I want to add to what you're saying to bring it together for our audience that there are many people in the Christian world outside of Israel that support Israel at large. A lot of organizations support Israel and the Jewish people, but what's different about what you're doing is you're focusing on Judea and Samaria, the biblical heartland that matters to both Jewish people first, and then people who believe in the Bible. So,
right now,
right?
Yeah, that's accurate, very accurate, and this is also the source of everything. I live in Kodesh, it's next to Shiloh. Shiloh was for 369 years, was the first spiritual capital of Israel, chosen by God. This is where the ark was, the first prayer of Hannah. And that we have in the Bible is of Hannah praying for a child in the tabernacle of Shiloh.
Oh, I've been there. I've walked on that ground.
And there is if you are a real believer, you have to come to visit. Yes. And when you come to visit, you have to come to Shiloh where everything started. Yes, right? Yes. You need to go to Hebron where our forefathers are there, and we need to go to Hebron where Joseph tomb is. Those are very, very important connections. And when we connect to those places, we understand our roots and we are connected to ourselves and to our Bible and to God. And this is something I want to ask everybody, because as you said, there are a lot of Christians who love Israel, but the truth is that only a few people around the world read actually the Bible and understand how deep and how important it is to connect to the heart of Israel, to the pioneers in Judea and Samaria. And how do I know it's so important? Because you see that everybody's against us. Everywhere you go, you open a radio in the United States, and everywhere I go, it's always a debate about Judea and Samaria, because our enemies understand that, God forbid, to fight Israel, you need to start from the covenant. You need to start from the heart of Israel, from the heart. You aim the heart. What we need is the supporters of Israel to aim the heart and join us in our work in the heart of Israel.
Okay, so that is very clear. Thank you for clarifying that. For Christians or anyone who wants to support Israel, if you want to get to the heart of the matter, you want to focus on Judea and Samaria. And that's what we are doing, myself and Ann, with Just Among Friends. We are focusing on Judea and Samaria specifically to really educate people on what you just said and how we can get on board and support. I just want to kind of reshape it, if I can, for just a minute for our audience. Just imagine if you were, let's just say Texas, if you were a Texan and you wanted to build a home. And you know, the way it works now is you choose where you want to buy a home or build a home. You have the finances to do it, and you go through the process of, applying to build the home with the county office, and then you get the deeds and you get all the paperwork done, and you pay the money and you build your home, and there you are. You're a Texan. Not so much in Judea and Samaria. When they try to build a home in their communities or establish a new community, a new neighborhood, this is where the battle is. They don't want Jews living, meaning the anti-Semites, those who are against Jewish communities being built in the biblical heartland, correct me if I'm wrong, but they do not want Jewish communities there. Why is that? Why do they not want Jewish communities? If you knew what the Jewish communities in Judea and Samaria had to go through just to get permission or ability to build a home, you would be shocked. You would be shocked. Some of the tell us.
And in the meantime, our Arab neighbors can build whatever they can, thousands of acres on sea territory, and they are stealing the land of Israel. It's a big, big debate, and we see that the international community, in my opinion, because of the roots of anti-Semitic and anti-Israeli including also the United States of America and other Biden regime. They are trying to freeze all the building and not to allow us to reconnect to the land. And you know why?
Why is this?
The answer is very, very clear and very simple, because they understand that once people like us will go to the heartland of Israel and rebuild and reconnect to God and to the covenant, Mashiach will come and redemption will come. And this is why all the people and all the dark side of the world don't want us to do so.
Amazing.
And we need to stop this, and we need to, specifically now, we are in such threat in Israel today. I don't remember something like that in the last 70 years. Riots from inner people who live, citizens of Israel, Arab citizens of Israel, who are fighting against Israel from inside. Jewish are afraid to walk in Jerusalem. I received 7 cocktails, Molotov cocktails on my car, shooting, grenades. This is a crazy situation today. Missiles from Gaza, and the political situation today was very, very difficult. Just to explain to you my work as an attorney, I represent hundreds of people, innocent people, who did whatever they can to keep Israel as a Jewish state, to keep Israel as a biblical state. By praying in the Temple Mount, they will be arrested. No freedom of religion for Jews. Thousands of thousands, 10,000, 30,000 Muslims can pray, bow, picnic, do whatever they want on the Temple Mount, the most important and only place on earth for Jewish people.
Yes.
They can do whatever they want. But if I was arrested more than 20 times only because I moved my lips on the Temple Mount, what about freedom of religion, freedom of movement? It's all upside down. And this is where I choose to become an attorney and to do whatever I can to protect those pioneers. When people are going to live in Judea and Samaria, many times they are persecuted and arrested because they try to open new villages. Thank God I had a privilege to open a village after my military service. I lived in a car for a year and a half.
Lived in a car for a year and a half.
In a cave, and to fulfill the prophecies. We read the prophecies. Are we ready to do something for it? Are we ready to be active for it?
Yes.
When we read, we shall plant vineyards in the mountains of Samaria. It's not only to read and to pray that Hashem will plant vineyards in the mountains of Samaria. You need to buy the tree. You need to plow the land. You need to have a land. You need to be with foot on the earth and to start to work on it.
Wow.
And this year we are doing the Shemitah year, the sabbatical year. We are doing something amazing. We are a part. It's a privilege, and I'm inviting all your viewers to join us in this privilege. Come and be a part with this mission to help the Jewish chosen people to go to the heartland of Israel, to the chosen land, and to worship God, and to plant vineyards in the mountains of Samaria, to build homes over there, and to redeem the land and bring redemption to this land.
Amazing.
And
wow, if you don't grab hold of that, then you need to rewind and watch this again, because that is it, to grab hold of God's vision, God's covenant with you, the Jewish people, you and your people, and we need to be a part of this. We're Bible-believing people, right?
I will tell you something. I hope you will understand. A lot of time, my friends, Gentiles from all over the world say, "I'm praying for you daily." I always said, you need to pray and act.
Yes,
you need to pray and act. This is the way of the biblical prophecies. They are praying and acting. Not always people thought about the prophecies. They are crazy. They went from a city to a city, starting to bring in gather people and to say, listen, this is the time for action. I am telling you now in Israel, it's times that you need to be a fool not to understand that we are in the end times.
Yes.
We are in the biggest threat, I think, in the last 70 years. And now it's time to unify people, lovers of Israel, lovers of the Bible all over the world. Let's take what it's in common and do whatever we can to bring redemption and do what God told us to do.
Are you in? Do you want to be a part of redemption? We all have a role to play in redemption. Am I right?
Yes.
The Jewish people lead and we are with them. There's a role for the Gentiles in this, and it is standing with our Jewish brethren and the land of Israel, and specifically Judea and Samaria. So you've given us the call to action. Friends, this is the time. We can pray all we want, but now it's time to get busy. And we can do that. If you can't go to Israel, we want you to go to Israel first and see this for yourself. This is what changed my life. This will change your life. And you can also financially support the Jewish communities in Judea and Samaria. So I want you to please consider donating money to the communities that are trying to establish themselves to fulfill God's covenant and bring the redemption and ultimately Mashiach to the world. We are in this together, and so we want to stick together and do the work.
One of the first things, the basic things to do is to be in touch, to have a connection, to have a real partnership.
Yes.
So you have my information, you have my email, you have my cell phone. Send me a WhatsApp, send me an email. do whatever. You can go to Facebook, whatever you're using today, and you can join us and to be in touch, to follow us, to understand what we are doing, to be a part of what we are doing, to support us in prayer and action, and to share this video, share your channel, join us everywhere you can. There is much what to do and not a lot of time, so we need to do whatever we can to bring redemption. With Hashem, with God's help.
With God's help, yes. And thank you, Nati, for being here. I want to give them your website one more time. I'm going to tell you what it is, but also don't forget to rewind the beginning. I showed you this. To help in this redemption process, go to IsraelHeartlandFriends.org/donate and get in the game. We need your help. Nati, it was a pleasure. Thank you for making time for me on your tour of Texas. Safe travels back to Israel and blessings to you and your family.
Am Yisrael Chai.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for joining us. Shalom.